The aim of equity in sports is to encourage all people, regardless of age, gender, disability, or ethnic origin, to participate in and develop their potential within sport. Equity in sport is about recognising inequalities and changing the culture and structures of sport to ensure that it becomes equally accessible to all members of society. The Australian sporting culture is increasingly held high in our nation's set of values. Children are taught from a young age about sporting legends as they first begin attending training sessions of their own. Figueroa's framework helps to identify the ways in which inequities can be challenged in the area of exercise, sport, and physical activity. By utilising this concept, I've been able to identify how factors within the individual and interpersonal levels have influenced my participation in touch football. The individual level of Figueroa's framework looks at a person's own attitudes, values, and beliefs. It is essential to look at whether there have been any external influences involved in shaping these attitudes. As an individual, I value recreational team sports greatly, which is why I'm involved in so many sports through school. However, I do not value the sport touch football. There are many reasons why this is the case, and most of these reasons stem from the values and beliefs of my parents. My family is an agent of socialisation, and they have imparted some of their beliefs on me.
Well, I grew up on the Gold Coast and touch football was always considered a boys' sport. You'd never see young women running around on the field getting sweaty. That's why I didn't allow Belle to play touch football. I'd much rather her do ballet. It's far more feminine and she's still just as athletic as the other girls at school who play touch. And yet, she has more poise.
As my mum has stated, she never believed that touch football was an appropriate sport for me to play, as she had grown up in a neighbourhood where only boys would be involved in it. Instead, she chose to force on me slightly gender-restricted activities such as ballet. Another reason I am not involved in touch football is because of my negative body image. Body image has been defined as a subject concept of physical appearance and can be either positive or negative. Negative body image can include social physique anxiety, which is the experience of anxiety in the presence of real or imagined negative physical evaluation. Individuals with high levels of social physique anxiety, including those who perceive themselves as overweight, are less likely to place themselves in situations where their bodies may be evaluated negatively. Thus, those who have a more negative body image and experience higher anxiety are less likely to engage in exercise. It is to no help, then, that the St. Paul's School touch football uniform consists of tight red bike shorts and a tight red tank top. This sort of uniform sits uncomfortably for me, especially since I would be around coaches and teachers when wearing it, and this has had a drastic effect on my involvement in touch football at St. Paul's. My success in a game of touch comes from a combination of athletic ability and my body build. A system developed by William Sheldon uses the terms ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph to describe the type, size, and shape of an individual. A typical touch football player would have a body build between ectomorph and mesomorph, which means that they are thin and muscular, with narrow hips, minimum amount of fat, and narrow shoulders and hips. As my build leans more towards the endomorph body type, I'm not built to have the ideal body shape to play touch football. I have wide hips and shoulders, muscled arms and legs, narrow waist, and a small amount of fat on the body, upper arms, and thighs. On top of this, my genetic predisposition of short legs and stocky, muscly body is another reason why I feel uncomfortable wearing the uniform for touch football, and also another reason why I'm not involved in touch football as a sport. Factors within the interpersonal level of Figueroa's framework have also had a drastic effect on my involvement in touch. My peers, family, and media have caused me to turn away from this sport and instead play different sports. Miss Hancock has had a large influence on my involvement in touch football from the first day I came to St. Paul's.
When first meeting Belle in Year 7, I spoke to her about what sports she could play each term and what sport she wanted to do for term 3, volleyball or touch football. I strongly encouraged her to play volleyball because I was struggling to find enough players for my grade 7 volleyball team, which I was coaching at the time, and I really wanted to stay as a Year 7 volleyball coach and I needed the extra player.
At the time I arrived, Miss Hancock had been offered a recurring role as Year 7 girls volleyball coach. At this time, however, she was short a few players and was not going to be able to form a team to play on the weekends if I did not play. At St. Paul's, we play in the TAS competition, where volleyball and touch football are played in the same trimester. As a result of clashing training times and me wanting to help out Miss Hancock, I chose to play volleyball instead of touch football. My peers have also influenced my involvement in touch. As of yet, none of the girls I sit with at lunch have ever played touch football and instead either dance or are involved in music. I believe that I would not have enjoyed playing touch as much, simply because I wouldn't be playing with the people I already know from school. The final factor that has had the greatest impact on my involvement in touch football is media. Unlike cricket, netball, rugby and the odd game of hockey, touch football has never really had much screen time. As children, we aren't introduced to the sport as fast as we are introduced to cricket, and I wasn't even aware of the sport until we began playing it in school PE lessons. If my parents had been involved in touch football prior to my coming to St. Paul's, I may have had an increased level of involvement in the sport. The two levels of Figueroa's framework that have had the highest impact on my involvement and progress in touch football through my life have been the individual and interpersonal levels. This was as a result of my own attitudes, values and beliefs of physical activity passed down from my parents and external influences influencing my engagement in the sport. These influences include my peers, school teachers and media.